This is our house here. Both of those pictures, we were about the same age when they were taken.
Ladies and gentlemen, the South Carolina Farm Bureau Federation is proud to present your 2018 Distinguished Service Award winners, Clyde and Betty Jackson of Edgefield County. Chances are you know this couple for all their hard work for Farm Bureau over the past years, but you might not know, as they say, the rest of the story. Clyde grew up in the town of Edgefield, while Betty moved from North Augusta to a farm in nearby Trenton when she was 10 years old. A few years later, Clyde met Betty, the farmer's daughter, when they both attended Edgefield High School.
If you went on a date, there was 3 things you could do. And it depended upon what day out the week that date was. You either went to the movies, you went to the ball game, it could be a football game or a basketball game, or you went to church.
Fast forward a few years and we find that Clyde has taken a job with the FBI in Washington, D.C.
He had talked to one of the SLED agents, FBI agents that worked here in South Carolina, and he said there's opportunity for young men that just graduate from high school. They can go to Washington, D.C., and they can start off in the fingerprint department for J. Edgar Hoover. So I think his daddy thought that was a good start for him, a better start. So Clyde heads to Washington. The first time when he goes and he's all packed up, his mama and I and sister in the back seat, and Clyde and his daddy in the front seat, and you could hear me sniffing a little, and we could hear Clyde's mama sniffing a little bit back there. And he turned around and looked at us. He said, "If I hear any more sniffing in that back seat," he said, "I will not bring you two back up here to see him while he's in Washington." So that kind of put a stop to that. We straightened up real fast.
It's not long before the two get married and Betty moves to D.C. and gets herself a job at the Pentagon, working for the Secretary of the Air Force. Eventually, they get a little homesick for their South Carolina family.
I guess the changing thing that really helped me change my mind on it, I said, we've got agents all over the place. How about finding me something further south so I'll be a little closer to home, and we can visit with our parents, Betty and Betty's parents and my parents. And they said, "Well, the only thing we have is Puerto Rico." And I said, "Well, I can't drive home from Puerto Rico."
Once back in South Carolina, they started a family. They were blessed with children, 2 girls, Jan and Paula, and 1 boy, Clyde the 4th. It was then that Clyde and Betty decided to build a house. They submitted a bid of $311 for a plantation house built in 1835 on the Savannah River. The only catch was it had to be moved.
They gave you 30 days to move it. Once you won the bid, you had 30 days to move it. Well, I lined up a house mover who would move it in 3 sections for $500 a section. That would have been $1,500. I could have gotten the house moved from where it was to the 35-acre farm here. No way. The state would not give us a permit to bring the large sections down the highway. There was a bridge we had to cross on the way here, and it was not large enough to bring the sections across. So we ended up tearing it down piece by piece, numbering the boards. I knew I could do it. It's like Lincoln logs. You've got the pieces there and they fit somewhere.
Eventually, the house was put back together and has been a wonderful home for the family for many years. The Jacksons first got involved with their county farm bureau in the 60s.
Mr. Joe Bussey was our insurance and head of our county farm bureau insurance. And of course, he had asked, Clyde to go. Somehow, Clyde might be able to tell you a little bit more about how he got started. But when he was very young and in his 20s, he was actually vice president and has remained vice president through all these years.
Clyde started out as a part-time farmer with 35 acres and ended up with 1,000 acres of peaches. Then hard times came.
The cow-calf operation came after we lost our peach industry here in the area. Like I said, we used to have lots of growers, lots of small growers, and now that the peach industry left, because of the freeze and everything like that. It really hurt. You just don't come out from under when you lose your whole crop 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years in a row. It's hard to come out from under that. So I fenced in the property and bought some heifers and started a cow-calf operation so that you sell your calf crop every spring and everything like that. And it worked out nicely because I had all this acreage and I got tired of cutting grass.
Since his first days with Farm Bureau, Clyde has served as county vice president and voting delegate, as well as a member of the Edgefield County Resolutions Committee, State Legislative Committee, and Nominating Committee. He was also one of the founders of the PAC Committee and has served as a delegate to many American Farm Bureau conventions. Betty has served as County Women's Chair and Central District Women's Vice Chair of the State Women's Leadership Committee for over 21 years. She's also been involved with the Associated Country Women of the World and the Country Women's Council USA, a member of her local garden club, as well as historian and a board member of the Garden Clubs of South Carolina. Besides staying busy with Farm Bureau activities, both Clyde and Betty are deeply involved in their church and in music in general. Betty plays the organ every Sunday at First Baptist in Edgefield. Clyde has led the singing at several churches over the years and has sung with several barbershop quartets and the Garden City Men's Chorus from Augusta.
I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you.
Clyde and Betty enjoy spending time with their children, and now their grandchildren, Nicole and Sophie. In fact, it wasn't long ago they celebrated their 50th wedding anniversary by recreating their honeymoon with a trip to Daytona Beach, complete with their now restored Ford Thunderbird, a surprise gift from their daughter Jan. These two have been a big part of South Carolina Farm Bureau for many years and are very deserving of the Distinguished Service Award.
So many people out there that do a good job and everything like that, and I guess our contribution has just been being there and doing what we could and doing our best at it. You know, when we were asked to handle something or to contact somebody to talk to them and all like that, it was just something we did. No one had to twist our arm or anything like that. Of course, we've had some good times. We've been places and seen things that we've never seen before, but it just opens the whole world up to what's going on and how valuable the farming industry really is. I'm going to sit right down and write myself a letter and make believe it came from you.
Ladies and gentlemen, your 2018 Distinguished Service Award winners, Clyde and Betty Jackson.